AP News, I'm Ben Thomas. Inflation slowed a little last month, but Lisa Dwyer reports it's still high.
Consumer prices rose 3.4% in July from a year ago, down slightly from 3.5% in June. But inflation is still higher than before the Iran war began in February, when it was 2.4%. Inflation has been pushed higher by a series of shocks to the economy. Tariffs imposed last spring, higher gas prices, and a surge in investment of artificial intelligence infrastructure that has boosted computer chip prices. The key question for the inflation fighters at the Fed and for consumers struggling with high gas and grocery prices is how quickly those one-time effects will fade. I'm Mr. Dwyer.
Gas prices jumped about 2.5 cents in the past day. AAA puts the national average for regular grade above $4.03 per gallon. Oil prices were up and down as Pakistan works to restart peace negotiations between Iran and the U.S., but President Trump says,
I'm the last person to trust the rest. They've lied to me constantly. We have total control over the Hormuz Strait right now. They don't have control. We have total control. We own it.
Brent crude settled just below $89 per barrel. On Wall Street,
stocks ended just shy of a record after several AI stocks reported better than expected growth for the spring. The S&P 500 rose 0.3%. It was the first gain for the index since it set an all-time high on Friday. The Dow slipped 21 points, that's less than 0.1%. The Nasdaq Composite climbed 0.5%. NVIDIA and Supermicro Computer helped lead the way, following the latest signs that businesses continue to spend big money on AI infrastructure. Seth Sutel in New York.
And Israel carried out a drone strike in northern Gaza, the military saying it targeted a Hamas commander, without providing details about who or whether he was killed. This is AP News. The NBA's most valuable franchise has been sold for a record-breaking price. Marcelo Sanchez has details.
The Los Angeles Lakers are being sold to businessmen Josh Kushner and Bob Iger for $12.5 billion, the second time in just over a year. This was according to a person familiar with the terms who spoke to the Associated Press on condition of anonymity. The sale, first reported by ESPN, still needs approval from the NBA's Board of Governors, and that process can take several weeks. The Lakers were valued at $10 billion last year when Mark Walter purchased a controlling stake from the Buss family. Kushner and Iger had also been involved in trying to get an expansion team for Las Vegas. But by buying the Lakers, the two do not have to wait for that decision. If it happens, expansion could take place in the 2028-29 season. I'm Marcela Sanchez.
More news at apnews.com. I'm Ben Thomas. Thanks for listening.
Island Voices, Island Conversations. A105, we talk of law.
The views and opinions expressed on this program are those of the show hosts, guests, and callers, and do not necessarily reflect the views of the staff or management of Wave 105.1 FM, Glimpses Media, or our partners. We strive to provide quality, respectful, and engaging content, and we welcome you to participate in the conversation. Thank you for tuning in to Wave 105.1 FM. Enjoy the show.
KVUMFM, Wave 105.1, Talk of Guam. Right now we have UOG Sustainability Waves, where you catch G3, Center for Island Sustainability, and F-Score every Thursday between 11 to 12 for an engaging conversation with scientists and biologists. Learn about the latest initiative for Sustainable Guam and discover how you can make a difference. We are streaming online at wave105.com, on YouTube at Wave 105.1 FM Guam, and the Glimpses Radio app. Our senior line is 671-960-1051-1052. Once again, this is UOG Sustainability Waves with Mr. Jared Castro. Thank you for tuning in.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Jared Castro with the University of Guam Center for Island Sustainability and Sea Grant. I'm so happy to be back on 105 today to really just, again, share all of the information and collaborative efforts that we have ongoing with the Center, with Guam Green Growth, and really give us a gentle intro also with Sea Grant, UOG CIS and Sea Grant, a little bit of F-Score, Guam Green Growth as a whole. A few months ago, I had the pleasure of bringing over the past few months, I've had the pleasure of bringing on multiple guests, right? And most especially a few months ago, I had the pleasure of bringing on someone who I get to work with, I'd say on a day-to-day basis, but fortunately enough, he's a high performer of our team. He's constantly out on the field, whether that is for a makeshift, impromptu, really quick, solution-driven item that he might be doing, whether that's on the field or fixing things within the program that kind of need more hands-on work and development. That could look like some of our plant boxes that you see, and he's leading a team and letting them get a better understanding of how the SDGs are really infused. And for anybody who might be listening on the road right now, if you come to the University of Guam as you drive alongside of the Marine Lab, I guess you could say like road area, we have these plant boxes that are more so like an info-based SDG awareness little campaign that we have ongoing that's right in person. It's one of the most recent projects. Whenever I'm going on a walk, I often see that our youth ambassadors have really worked on over the past summer. He is also was the lead of that. He is the current, I guess you could say, like project lead for the Grow Core, which will be renewing in September, and then has also helped as a contributor, someone who is often giving, when I think of a project chart and I think of RACI, so responsible, accountable, consultative, and informed, I think of this individual as someone who embodies a little bit of everything, has just went through a competitive interview process for an interim or fairly concentrated Grow Core program, Conservation Core program that we have ongoing at the moment, and then also is the main project lead for the overall Grow Core, which is the Guam Restoration of Watersheds Conservation Program, which is really held within UOG and our Rolodex of partners of over 100 plus private and public agencies. Again, this is all relating back to the Conservation Core that we do. His name is Tomas Benavente, who I have the pleasure of working with. He is a former resident of the CNMI, is an NMC alumni. He has fortunately enough moved to Guam, joined us at the University of Guam, dipped his toes in the sand of undergrad, and eventually made his way into grad school, and I think it was with the Southern Utah University, where he just recently was awarded his master's in public administration, and is now again renewing for the second core season. It's going to be a really competitive time frame where he will be hiring about 6 individuals, all focusing on watershed restoration. I know that is a mouthful, and for whoever again is driving or listening, you will have the landing page, the call to action on where to apply for this program towards the ending of the show, so just stay tuned. Again, I am fortunate enough to be joined today with Tomas Benavente, who is an evolving talent for the Center for Island Sustainability and Sea Grant team, specifically with the Guam Green Growth Association. Tomas, thank you so much for joining me today.
One is enough today, Jared. That was a very generous introduction. To everyone listening, Tomas Benavente, going by Mons, former resident of Saipan, has moved over to Guam in 2023 and has been very honored and blessed since 2024 to continue working for the UOG Center for Island Sustainability and Sea Grant. So
it's amazing to have you here. Thank you so much. So I've been doing this little, I guess you could say, like interview or get to know the team, especially the people behind the impact work for Sustainability Ways. It's often that I'll bring in like a public or private sector partner within the Guam Green Growth Rolodex. But sometimes I'd say at least about once to twice a month I'll bring a specific member of the team on just to kind of get a better understanding of what their role is and what the impact work is that you guys contribute to. Because it's very easy to see what we do on social or when we get this gorgeous coverage through the news or, for example, the radio show, but it's the people who are the subject matter experts that really hold the knowledge, that can really share it with the community, to get community members to really understand and get the buy-in on if we have employment opportunities coming up, speaking from the point of view as the associate at the current job. I've noticed it really does help. So, Mark, walk us through a little bit of when you first found out about the Guam Green Growth Conservation Corps. I think you may have done a little bit before, but like if you can walk us through when you were first onboarded and how that time went with the other 11 individuals.
And so the Conservation Corps was just an amazing program to even be inspired by. I didn't even know about it until the year before I applied, which was through interviewing Austin and Phil myself as a reporter for PDN at the time. I was very curious to understand like how this group of individuals with just 12 members plus 2 coordinators and a team behind the scenes were able to contribute thousands of data, to our G3 framework and the things that we need to do around the island, because I thought to myself that, I don't want to be someone that's always complacent. I don't want to be someone that's complaining. But, as you mentioned, the amount of time I was going to school, I just didn't know where to dip my foot in the water, understanding how to help out in this community, knowing my work-life balance, whether it's something worth volunteering out there, but then knowing that there's an opportunity, that something I could be genuinely passionate about with the environment, natural resources, and volunteering, all meshed into one. That's what drew me to applying for the Conservation Corps in 2024, and then just being onboarded with another 11 individuals. And honestly, I was the second youngest person on the team. They all thought I was already 10 years older because of how I presented myself and whatnot.
For sure. Like, just, you have this gravitas, you present yourself.
I appreciate that, man. But, even in my own role, I don't really know that. I always just see myself as this, laid-back person, just willing to make friends and whatnot, do what I need to do type of thing. I'm not trying to put myself out there all the time, but, just working alongside those 11 individuals in that first week where none of us knew each other.
I love that you refer to yourself as a laid-back person. Literally yesterday, for whoever is listening, and if you might be tuning in on the radio, like just in between your drive, I just heard that Moss is one of the main project leads whenever a conservation corps is in season. So specifically the Grow Corps, he was just the Guam Green Growth Youth Ambassador Corps lead as well. And we'll go a little bit into that. But to just cut you off and talk about how laid back he is, he got to the office yesterday and fully needs to, I'll just say it, you fully have a new core coming in, a full admin time that you need to devote to, meaning it's time for you to start scouting for members, figuring out how the market is really competitive right now. Does not sit at his desk, fully puts his bag down, and goes outside to load up a canopy, because we had the main campus had to do a setup, right? We had a ribbon cutting. Yeah. So we were also partnering with them to do that. So as laid back as he'd like to fabricate, he is anything but, and honestly such a courageous leader. So I just had to make a little bit of a joke about that, Mr. laid back, and literally is trying to juggle the project management side of the role and then still the logistics and hands-on. So over to you. You were saying that you were the youngest in the team. The team had no idea that you were the second youngest, and your experience. So what was that really like?
Honestly, it was just eye-opening to see that 11 individuals other than myself were all willing to contribute to something that we were just anticipating anything, but we understood the scope of the work. I didn't really interview them at the start because that's something I did for a prior job, but they knew of my name, but they didn't know, they couldn't put a face to the person, so we had to just create the connections off the bat from that first week, whether it be removing green waste from the campus and then just being on the same van ride to go and pick up safety boots, because we just knew we were already getting into the dirty work within the next 5 months. So understanding that this team of 6 women and 6 men were just going to be out there in the community serving every week and through all the different facets of conservation, it was just eye-opening, man, and understanding the whole sustainable development goal movement, because I didn't, even with all the research I've done, I didn't even know about that before I joined the course. So having that on my sleeves the entire time, every day while we're out there working, I just take a peek and I'll be like, okay, this is my favorite one for today. And, just understanding that everyone can contribute to the sustainability movement, it's awesome, man.
You're fully jumping it. I had an answer all these questions I wanted to ask. So when you first onboarded, right, and for anybody who might be listening, what we're really talking about is Moss's evolution as an employee and now being a project main lead for all of these startup programs, or I guess you could call them evergreen programs that we have now. And I really do want to share the success stories and turning points of when it really processed for you that this is a place of employment that you want to be at. You really believe in the core. You're obviously a recipient of 6 months of training and then landing a full-time job with it. So if you can, walk us through when it first kind of processed for you as a 6-month hire, right? Because that's what it was. And I'll speak for myself. I am someone who I appreciate a salary. I appreciate a full-time role. I have an entrepreneurial side of me, yes, that has desire, but I also really do enjoy comfortability. I enjoy security. I love knowing that our jobs are, no one's job is really the most secure within the state of things right now, but what I'm a 6-month apprenticeship program, so I can say. And your role has fully evolved into this massive, gorgeous thing that is honestly so impactful. You're impacting youth ambassadors, you're impacting day-to-day community members, industry professionals, and then also people leaving promising jobs that have 40 hours a week that is somewhat secure in comparison to an apprenticeship, and it has become a little bit more attractive. So what in regards to the program, right, you're attracting these high impact talent, I guess you could say like acquired staff, to join a 6-month program, take a little bit of a risk, and it's involved from someone like you and Tristan and all the members of the team. So what I really wanted to have you share with the listener is when you were in the core and you realized all these things were really attractive. It was maybe partnerships with DOAG, right? Like knowing that you would learn from these people. I'm just giving you an example. Knowing that there was something as a talent, seeing that Guam Sustainable Culture does that you're like, wow, I wanted to be a part of this. What was it within the core season of season four, where you were like, whoa, this is promising. Like, I know at the end I might not be handed a full-on onboarding packet, but you knew that there was something you wanted to do. Like, what was the turning point? Who was the partner? Maybe who was the thought leader that really shouted out to you?
Honestly, I think it was just a matter of communicating within the team itself, at least within our members of the club, because since it is a full-time work commitment, we all were wondering, okay, what are we going to do after this program? Because in all honesty, I came into it thinking, okay, I'm going to support the movement for 5 months, and then we'll see where life ends up after that. I did not do prior research on understanding where careers would end up after that. But like you said, with all the natural resource partners that we had with our in-house natural resource division team, the Guam Sustainable Culture, and the local forest and soil resources division, they showed that these people have genuine careers after all this time in these fields, and that it's very inviting, So after communicating with those folks, it took another conversation with our own program coordinators, and a big blessing to have had Philip Cruz and Anania Natakempa as our program coordinator. So it was within the program where we had monthly conversations, and with the conversations with those coordinators, they would ask, how's everything going? Would you like to see anything else in the program? What do you like to see in the future? So it was within those conversations that I would say, okay, I'm interested in this, and then they would relate to the team, okay, we have these opportunities coming up. So it is from there that we all were able, as a collective group of 12, to see who could benefit from this position, And it wasn't a sign, per se. We had a position that was open within the Natural Resources Division, and 7 of us interviewed. But we didn't know how many openings they had. So things like that were like, okay, we'll compete with each other and whatnot. But at the same time, we're happy for each other. We became a little family within that little team. So it was from that moment that I knew, okay, we're all going to pursue careers here. We might not all be co-workers again in the future, but just understanding that we all had that passion that started from the conservation core, it's what allows us to connect today. I think, honestly, I don't know about the other seasons, but our season still connects to this day, and we only have 5 months to connect with each other, and 2 years? Dude.
No, for sure. And so 2 things that I'm listening to. The first one is the turning point, right? Or like where you're like, whoa, I actually could see myself in a role full time within this field. It's promising. And that was whenever I bring someone on that's been on the core, like within the core atmosphere, they often talk about the agency that they're partnered with, or it was this 2020, or it was this time. I'm so happy, and I'm so grateful that you labeled something that is outside of the hard skills that you guys acquire. So I will just say it for whoever is saying. The Guam Green Grove Conservation Corps, and this is non-biased, this is me just as someone who does, I've never been in it. It is insane the amount of access that the 12 individuals get. You for sure be working with a partner, and that day is you fully going into the water and like having this ball of a day working with like a literal marine biologist to get a better understanding of like how things are within that system. I'm not even gonna fail at explaining exactly what it is. There's so much science behind it. So basically what I'm getting at is everyone talks about these hard skills or these one-on-one partnership days that you get and the exposure that you can have. You really touched on something that's insanely beneficial to anyone, even outside of the green talent atmosphere, and that is being able to have one-on-ones with leading mentors and leading, contributors to the talent role. And what Moss is explaining is there is a monthly check-in. If I'm not mistaken, sometimes it could be bi-weekly as well, depending on the season. And another, sorry, I keep looking at the screen and getting so distracted. But that's my fault, really. Don't even apologize. I was saying thank you. Is you get the mentorship and the coaching of really understanding where you want to drive and take your career, and it is being led by two PMBA degree holders and people who really do invest in the talent. And I'm glad you talked about that. So for whoever is listening, the core also, aside from the hard skills that you're developing, it's resume capacity building, tracking the talent that you are acquiring, and then figuring out how to competitively go after a job. So I'm really glad we talked a little bit about that. Something that you did not mention is season 4 was a pretty I'm going to use this word as a descriptor. I'm not saying that's how your personalities were, but it was a fairly competitive season. There was about 5, at least from my knowledge, there's 5 of you that hold bachelor's degrees already. Each of those 5, just at the top of my head, were coming from 80-hour bi-weekly promising fields. We had full-time roles. I can say names right now, but I want to just keep it incognito because they're not being interviewed. Competitive roles, private sector jobs, public sector jobs, someone even worked at a top 4 global accounting firm. You guys attracted extremely competitive talent that year. So it's insane. And I'm fortunate enough to share that the 5 of you that I'm thinking about as a 12, and I'm sure all of you are employed, right? But the 5 of you are in concrete partnership roles, whether that's acquired internally. So about 4 of you that I'm thinking of are literally employed under CIS and CNET. That just so happened to happen. And then one of them being the female that I'm talking about, she often comes over for lunch, and she's in a pretty competitive role too. She, I think it's one of her really good friends, but she's acquired a really cool green job as well. So it was a pretty competitive season. So thank you so much for sharing that. So the turning point was maybe the mentorship and the leaning into the talent and really helping you guide where your career is going to go for the core. And when you obtained the role entirely, what was the turning point when you inherited the Grow Core, lead role? What did you see? What attracted you to say yes? Because you could have easily said no. What really kind of sparked for you? I know you were on a really good grant as well, but you were with the custom team. Yeah. So walk us through when that offer kind of arrived and they were leaning into you leading this Grow Core, and what was it all about?
So prior to becoming the program coordinator for the G3 Grow Core, it was a weird career shift at the time. So I went from being our outreach liaison for the Center for Community and Energy and Environmental Justice, connecting over 40 organizations to technical assistance, whether it be in energy or environmental issues. And then the grant got terminated in February. But after that, I was moved to being another outreach associate for our perceptions of ocean energy. And honestly, at that point, I'm not a subject matter expert on it. I had my fair share of doing research for that program, but in addition to the conservation core, I'm not too big into I wasn't too big into the space at the moment, but then I just kept on doing what I needed to do, and then eventually when I needed to offer it, later on, early summer, I would say that was around June or May, and it was offered to me, and I already knew Grow as a contributing factor within our team, when they had the presentation about our Rich to Breathe movement, already at that time, over 15,000 trees planted, just because the southern residents understood that this initiative is necessary because they're seeing their own local sustenance be of decreasing quality. So I already was inspired by that team. And then when they mentioned to me that not only would I be able to work alongside them, but I would also train another 6 individuals that would have the same type of inspiration and the activities are all focused in on it, I had 100% buy-in at that point because it was a perfect split of 50% office work, 50% field work type of vibe. But once the program started, indeed, man, and I was already halfway through a master's in public admin at the time, so knowing that this is really my time to see if this is where I want to take my career in both the environmental sector and being a program coordinator. It was my one shot. So I took it, and I'm very grateful that, we were able to proceed with that first year, and, we should be able to land it for another 3. So, yeah, man, very big blessing there.
So what Moss is talking about is we have the Grow Corps, which focuses on Guam restoration of watersheds. So walk us through what that is.
Yeah, so the in-house Guam restoration of watersheds team is facilitated within our CIS and CVAC, but it focuses in on the Ugam watershed as a way to restore the watershed and improve water quality for our southern residents, since there is no Ugam water treatment plant nearby.
Got it. Okay. So for whoever is listening, we're going to go into it maybe in the second half of the show, but while we're basically walking everyone through this, and for whoever is kind of digesting this with us, that's the end goal of the search days, to really get you to understand a little bit more about what the Grow Corps is, but more so on my end as the interviewer, to get the listener to really understand who you're going to be mentored by, and how, I'm not saying it's the most promising thing, but how promising it can be by joining a Guam Green Growth, whether it's the Grow or the Evergreen Guam Green Growth Corps as a whole. The skill sets that you acquire from this, the people that you are mentored by, is a long-lasting impact, whether you obtain a job internally, you go to a partner agency. This is the type of person that you would be paired with almost as a fellow, I guess you could really say. So thank you so much for sharing that. With your time leading the 6 individuals, your role has really shifted. So over the past year, because for whoever might be listening, the Corps is a 5.
The one last year was 6, but now we have to get it to a 5. Yeah.
Okay, so it's about a 5 to 6 month period, about 6 people are required from it. You're, I want to say, generously compensated.
Oh, for sure. For someone who doesn't have experience in that field, but still be compensated at that level, definitely. But, we still have our high expectations and standards.
It's a generous compensation for whoever might be listening. And again, in the next few weeks, the applications will be opening up. If you visit the cgrant.uog.edu website, the landing page should be somewhere there. So, Moss, walk us through, after the Grow Corps had really, closed out for its first season, you then obtained more, opportunities to lead and to influence and to also gain, right? To gain from the talent that you were collaborating with. You recently were the lead of the first Guam Green Growth Youth Corps Ambassador Program, which focused on a little bit of, I'll let you walk us through that. And then this past year, or this past course season, you also were, I want to say, the guest lead coordinator for certain workshops that you were able to collaborate with the team. But simultaneously, you were leading the Grow Corps, the Guam Green Growth Youth Ambassador Corps, which is the first of its kind. You had about 10.
We had 8.
You had about 8 youth ambassadors, and for anybody who might be listening, these are talents that were recruited from the Department of Youth Affairs Summer Internship Program led by the Office of the Governor, I want to say, and the Lieutenant Governor, on workforce development for youth in Guam. So I want you to talk a little bit about that, your influence on the current course season, and what really was your most high-impact success stories with that. So walk us through a little bit about when the youth course started and what you were really excited about. Because you went from a true retrospect, or opposite of working with individuals who were already part of the workforce, and then fully into educating the potential next generation of conservation workers.
Yeah, man. So the Grow Corps itself, it was filled with individuals. I mean, there was one who that was their first job generally with a W-2 that would be provided, but then the other side, they came from those 40-hour-a-week jobs that you were talking about earlier, and very grateful that after closing out the program, found out that at least 2 of them are already within conservation full-time jobs. So very proud that we were able to make a difference for them to make that segue. And then when I found out about the Youth Corps being proposed prior to June, we just had to really evaluate ourselves, and understand if our Conservation Corps program really could be implemented for youth employees. Because this is a big mindset shift, especially our coordinators are at least one generation apart from that.
This is a full-on mindset development.
That's true.
These kids are just
Yeah, so these 8 folks, 2 of them, it was their first job generally. But we also did not play any part in human resources for this. So we were just going to be surprised on the first day, knowing we didn't know who any of these individuals were, but we were ready. We established a program once we knew what we could expect within the 2 months that they would be around. And we still had to look at the different tasks and activities that they could conduct because there's whole different standards through U.S. Department of Labor. There's one for 14 and 15-year-olds, and then there's another one for 16 to 17. So big processes that we have to go through.
Leadership skills were tested. No, not because it's hot, because it's sifting through the HR compliance. The daily compliance is important. I mean, I'm smiling because you guys really did educate yourself on what the compliance is with working with 14 and 15-year-olds and then the 16-plus demographic and learning how to manage them. And that's just the compliance side. We're not even talking about personality. We're not talking about managing talent, figuring out how to get them to fit. There were 8 of them. You had to do your own workshops on compliance with your supervisor to get a better understanding of the workshop that you were going to develop. And then you're going into onboarding them.
So onboarding them within that first week, we had the whole orientation slides, who we are, and then we also have to provide the ability for them to network amongst themselves. We have to cultivate them to be ready professionals for the workforce. And, some of them, like I said, it wasn't their, they haven't had experience prior to it. This was their first job. Half of them, they've never had full work experience, even if it was at home. So trying to develop this, I'm like, oh man, this could be a struggle, and just knowing, I was only able to even be a substitute teacher back in Cyprus for 2 months. So I was not ready.
How old are the kids that you worked with?
They were the same age. Okay. So I was just like, okay, I don't know if I will really succeed with this, but then, being able to work with the same mentor I had within the Conservation Corps, that was a big blessing already. So developing this curriculum, I was like, okay, I know that this is what we did within the Conservation Corps, but I don't know if these kids are going to be able to hang. But they did. Within the first day, we even said, what is your number one thing that you want to create for our environment? And half of them were also like, I'm open-minded, which means that they never really thought about something like this. So we had to instill that within them, death by PowerPoint within that first week to really show everything that our department was handling, everything that we were trying to tackle for our sustainable future. And even from there, they're like, okay, I'm not sure if I'm too interested still. But then we developed our personalities with them. We showed them that, hey, man, even if it seems like it's a professional workforce, this is something that you can both work hard at and have fun do. So within the next week, they saw our hands-on work with waste management and recycling to iRecycle, our Guam Green Growth Circular Economy, Makerspace and Innovation Hub. Things of that nature, that's how it started, and even from there, the light bulbs just struck. And we knew that we're really going to cultivate them, and the next 6 weeks, those are going to be a break at that point.
I'm laughing because the way that you are describing this, I'm not saying your passion with developing youth in the conservation field it's much more passionate than grown adults, right? But you could see, I think the impact of the Youth Ambassador Program really influenced a lot of us, and I think the closeout, just hearing, these are 14, 15, 16, 17?
Yeah, so 15 to 17-year-olds on Guam.
15 to 17-year-olds on Guam, fully coming in. I'm taking off my work cap kit and just speaking for 5 to 10 seconds. Sometimes there were days where they had to learn how to do what you would call yard work, right? As just an islander individual on an island.
Yeah.
That to us, right, putting away our work cap is a chore, at home.
Mm-hmm.
These youth ambassadors fully learned how to do this at a commercial level, understanding the impact that it has for a business, understanding the impact that it has for an organization, how to really lean into talent as well. And I'm laughing and smiling at the same time because that could be hard. I'm thinking of myself as a 15-year-old being asked to do something as that home project.
Mm-hmm.
That would have been so challenging. But what was really interesting about the 8 individuals that you had is they were aware of what they were getting themselves into, and they said they would happily proceed. So that was just a really big turning point for us to see, wow, these guys are not just applying for a job, they are fully signing up. They've committed to it. So walk us through where you, I guess if you could shift aside from seeing the fulfillment, right, of training the next quote-unquote generation, what do you see as someone who has trained individuals in the workforce and then this emerging talent that we should be looking out for, that they are passionate about, like the way that they are, I guess what I want to say is like influenced on being a little bit more productive? What is it within this next generation, within the conservation field, that you see that they're the most tantalized by and that they're the most fulfilled by?
So I think the ability to see our natural resources and identify them, that's a big stepping stone, because I know that for the Conservation Corps this year, they were able to get base access to our sea turtle program as volunteers to evaluate and find some of these hatcheries. And then we saw with the youth that, they didn't really understand what's around them. We call it like forest blind or something like that, where you just think everything around you is jungle, everything's green. You don't really know the purpose of these trees. You don't even understand that there's local names for these trees. So that, I think, is what created that spark between them. And that's across even the Grow Corps themselves, who have to understand, like, hey, man, all these trees, we're planting them even if they're not from here. It has all these different effects. So across those different programs, the Grow Corps, the Conservation Corps, the Youth Corps, everything to them, it was just a matter of purpose that needed to be discovered in order for them to really be hands-on with the work. I also found that I think for a majority of these individuals, maybe being in the classroom to understand these skills, it's not always the right approach. It needs hands-on work where they're able to be fulfilled, they're able to sweat, and they're able to understand exactly what they're doing instead of just saying, go do this and only do it because I told you so. That was never the goal with them. It was always try and cultivate that seed within them to understand what they're doing makes a big difference. This is going to be something that the future generations are going to understand. So I think that's what really tantalizes anyone across our natural resource workforce program.
No, you could really see it with them that the more that they were investing their time and staying focused, it was the more they were out hands-on.
Yeah.
Hands-on with outside of classroom work as what you would kind of describe it as. And with you walking us through where I guess you could say this next generation of employment, the conservation field work really is headed, your time with the Corps and then seeing the evolution, and you were in a way you were co-hosting, co-leading the Youth Corps plus the Guangzhou Corps, and we had a member in the Guangzhou Corps this year that was actually a high school student who then graduated and shared in her testimony I learned about this program in high school and I wanted to obtain this as a job. I think it was Audrey. And that was so full circle for me when I was listening to Audrey as a full-time conservation worker or apprentice with us. Yeah. Because I was at the same time, you really see the influence. Someone in high school learning about this within a youth corps program, what it's going to evolve into. So walk us through when you would guest the Real Corps or the G3 Corps this year, what you saw, I guess, correlate and what you needed to revisit. So that could be I guess I'm answering my own question, which is making sure that you had the exposure to hands-on learning, but what else was there? Was there a specific agency that you saw, whoa, this is the best for any age, whether you're 15 or 35, this is the best agency for us to partner you with to really get the best understanding of what conservation is and the turning point. What would you say it is?
I think each organization brings something super different to the table, whether it be their own mission or their folks on board, but I think I would just like to make a special shout out to Wild Sustainable Culture because they're making it out of the small team of individuals they have. I think less than 20 are able to manage the whole old Hamamoto food world. And if you go down to that space, you can get an educated field tour with one of our season 4 alumni, Emma Sanchez. And then apart from that, they're also going to cultivate a farmers program so that other local community farmers can engage with the land that they're bestowed. So it's all these different age groups that could go and check it out, our natural resources, fruit-bearing medicinal trees. Apart from GSC, though, I would say even our makerspace and innovation hub, because Dr. Austin always puts it in our minds, right, that 90% of what we eat and consume are all imported. So the fact that We're able to have our own facility. These are our colleagues that are making all these beautiful products. Not only is it nice, it's made here on Guam, but it's honestly the only real recycling facility, and it's things that we all own and we can continue to make use of it. So I think those would be the two main steps off the bat.
Okay, thank you so much. And so what we're going to do now is probably take a quick break from, again, just to recap, again, I'm here with Tomas Benavente, who is our Guam Green Growth Project coordinator, the lead for the Grow Corps, which will be starting in September, a former youth ambassador project lead as well, with the first Guam Green Growth Corps this past summer, and is also a spotlight, I guess you could say, a guest host, guest lead for the Guam Green Growth Conservation Corps, who is also an alumni. Thank you so much to whoever's been listening to the first segment and really getting a better understanding on the management style, acquiring talent, like what we really look for when we are kind of fostering the environment of the workforce. I'm so excited to really share and happy and grateful that I get to work with Moss and someone who has now been well-versed with working with evolving talent and now the workforce of 30. Honestly, even I feel like we have like a rough range of like different age demographics for the course. So seeing the different types of people you collaborate with, the talent that you acquire from there, GSC, the concept of food security, the I guess you could say like cultural and land restoration and preservation work that you've highlighted as well, and all of that. So thank you again for listening to the first segment. We're going to take a quick break, and then the next segment will be a little bit about the Grow Corps starting in September, what we're really looking for in regards to talent, where you can apply, and all of that. So be sure to tune back in the next few minutes.
Island Voices, Island Conversations. 105, Contact One.
We're popping open a chilled bottle of bubbly today to toast a high-stakes international legal battle fought over your favorite French beverage. Welcome to the National Day Spotlight for August 13th.
Calling it crisp class to toast National Prosecco Day used to look very different before a massive European legal showdown reshaped the wine industry. Until 2009, Prosecco was simply considered the biological name of a generic green grape, meaning any vineyard on Earth could grow it and use the lucrative label. Defending their local economy from cheap global imitations, the Italian government pulled off an elite agricultural stunt. They officially passed the law legally renaming the actual grape variety Carrera. Lawmakers then declared Prosecco a strictly protected geographical region, instantly making it illegal for outside countries to print the word on a bottle unless the wine was handmade in Northeast Italy.
Wait a minute, they cornered the market with that. You suppose they had to send a legal stop to everybody else?
I would guess so. I was just looking at the difference between champagne and Prosecco, too.
Yeah.
I didn't know that champagne fermented in the bottle, and that Prosecco gets its signature light bubbles via large still tanks.
Interesting difference, isn't it? We're also celebrating National Palladium Neon Day and International Left-Handed Day. I'm Elvis Anderson.
And I'm Marlo Anderson with National Day Calendar, reminding you to celebrate every day. Hey, bargain hunters, Marlo Anderson here, back with today's deal of the day, courtesy of Ollie's, the official destination of National Bargain Hunting Week. And today, they've got an absolute waterfall of savings. A 40-ounce Contigo stainless steel water bottle. Don't drain your wallet by paying department store prices. Find a store near you at Ollie's.com and grab a cold one for just $7.99, compared to $24.99 at the fancy stores. Happy hunting.
If you're looking for world-class website hosting at a fair price, Hair Networks is your best choice. Whether you're a professional web designer or a beginner just getting your site online, Hair Networks has a web hosting plan that's right for you. Log on and learn more at hairs.com. That's PAIR.com. Hair Networks, world-class web hosting at a fair price. Visit us at hair.com. Hair Networks.
The countdown has begun. Coffee Less is preparing something special for Haggadah, and you won't want to miss it. Family fun, live entertainment, community celebrations, and more are on the way. Follow us on Facebook and Instagram for details. Yesterday, Guam, the Guam Hotel Restaurant Association invites you to the Fair 2012 Guam's premier hospitality and food service event. Join us August 19th
move for seasonal. A big summer getaway is still waiting at a Gannon shopping center. Every $10 purchase is your ticket to massive prizes. You could win a 75-inch TV, a $100 gas card, a 2-night stay at PIC, and more. Plus, you could win up to $1,000 in United Airlines vouchers to fly anywhere United flies. Keep dropping those raffle coupons in the drop boxes and don't miss the grand drawing on August 15th. Shop and win before time runs out at a Gannon shopping center. Must be present to win. See posters for details.
Why be at the forefront of childhood cancer research? At St. Jude, we do it because every innovation we make is the moment we give the children with cancer everywhere. But we can't do it without you. Help St. Jude give children with cancer more moments. Moments that will last a lifetime. Learn more at stjude.org.
Our critically injured veterans and first responders are left behind every day because of inadequate wheelchairs. That's why Wheelchairs for Warriors is on a mission to serve America's heroes across the nation and provide them with custom-fit wheelchairs tailored to fit their needs to ensure they're rejoining their lives at the highest level of independent mobility and function possible. From lightweight daily use chairs or adaptive sports chairs to all-terrain wheelchairs to get these warriors outdoors. Wheelchairs for Warriors serve those who served us. To join their mission, visit their website at wheelchairsforwarriors.org.
FM, Steady, powered by Glimpses and The views and opinions expressed on this program are those of the show hosts, guests, and callers, and do not necessarily reflect the views of the staff or management of Wave 105.1 FM, Glimpses Media, or our partners. We strive to provide quality, respectful, and engaging content, and we welcome you to participate in the conversation. Thank you for tuning in to Wave 105.1 FM. Enjoy the show. KGUN FM, Citizen, powered by Glimpses and
The countdown has begun. Frosty Rest is preparing something special for Hazaria, and you won't want to miss it. Family fun, live entertainment, community celebrations, and more are on the way. Follow us on Facebook and Instagram for details.
Anything's possible.
Because one thing we know is never to underestimate the spirit and strength of the people of our island home, which is why at Bank of Hawaii, you, your dreams, and your possibilities will always have a home. Reach your confidence with Bank of Hawaii. Member FDIC.
I've noticed every time we do a break, I do like a cool Yuli segment in the beginning. So thank you so much to our producer Yuli for really helping us. Sustainability Waves. My name is Jared Castro, the host of Sustainability Waves here on 105. I'm with the University of Guam Center for Island Sustainability and Season, specifically the Guam Green Growth segment. Before we go into the second half of learning about the Guam Green Growth Conservation Course, specifically GROW, which is Guam Restoration of Watersheds, and how to join our team later this September, how to apply, what the compensation looks like, the type of mentor you're going to have, the partner agencies that you'll be able to work with, I'd like to just kind of give a quick pivot and shout out to our main campus of the University of Guam. This Saturday on August 15th from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m., the University of Guam Enrollment Management Team will be hosting a Register for Fall satellite registration at the Agana Shopping Center, second floor, former GameStop. At this event, you'll be able to register for fall, walk in, get help, get registered, and this is open to all students. Again, this is on August 15th with the main campus for enrollment management, hosted at the Agana Shopping Center from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. What you'll be able to do is really get support with advising, registration, financial aid, the bursar's office, and more. Again, this is at the Agana Shopping Center, former GameStop, second floor, August 15th, 2026. Register for fall with the University of Guam. What you'll need to bring in order to register is a valid photo ID, again, from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. on August 15th. Walk in, get help, get registered, and this is open to all short terms. For anybody who might need a contact email on the advisement or to get more information, please feel free to send an email to adviseme@triton.uog.edu. That is adviseme@triton.uog.edu. Register for fall, again, August 15th. Thank you again so much for joining us here today. I'm here with Tomas Beneventi, the project coordinator for Guam Green Growth Grow Conservation Corps, and also a spotlight host for the Guam Green Growth Conservation Corps Evergreen Program, former project lead for the first G3 Youth Ambassador segment that we were talking a little bit about earlier. Moss, I'm going to hand it over to you. Walk us through what we are going to be starting or kicking off for the second time this September and what it is that the time will be focusing on.
Awesome. So our second season of the G3 Grow Corps would focus around seed collection, germination, and propagation, and anything related to watershed restoration. So we're anticipating beginning by September 21st to February 21st, and then we will try to provide applications within our GuamGreenGrowth.org website and have a placeholder there starting by early next week. So hopefully that can be rolled out so that we could interview candidates as they come along and then hopefully make our decisions by the first week of September so that anyone who has another current position, they're able to freely join us by September 21st. So this Grow Corps, it will focus again on that seed collection, germination, and propagation aspect. This will help with reforestation and planting methods. This Grow Corps will also focus hands-on on site preparation and fire break maintenance. So a lot of bush cutter usage, chainsaws, hand saws, but definitely will provide safety training and first aid training prior to that because this is an outdoor work position for the most part. And even at times, because this is a workforce development program, we also have them go through island beautification, working with our community stakeholders. But I also want to take it another level with this current group. So I have certain deliverables that I will need to provide, especially now that we're in the second year of this MALU-funded program that came from KUPU through a matter of the U.S. Forest Service. So we want to go into tree inventory, program assessment, and we'll collect individuals that are both willing to do that type of work, technical indoor type of work, but then they're also willing to step outside with us to do all the different labor that we need. So within that aspect of the technical side, I'm thinking we can also have them help out with GIS, and this will help plot every single tree that we've planted already, add to our tree inventory, have a map that we could view within our G3 dashboard. So a lot of cool things that we're trying to develop for this year, but we'll see. It's a work in progress. It's not something that's guaranteed at the moment, but for the time being, we at the very least expect that they'll be outside every day with us to prepare the Ugum watershed for future tree planting. As I mentioned, that they will span into February 21st. Our tree planting season will be done at that point, so they could expect a lot more seed collection and germination at that point, and then the fire break maintenance so that during that dry season, our Ugum watershed is as protected as possible, preserve the trees that we planted across the 7 years now since the Grow Initiative started in 2019. So, a lot of workforce development side here, trying to also see if we can contract any special trainers for this group or have the individuals be able to network to symposiums or conferences, with other watershed stakeholders. So, it's a lot of interesting stuff coming up and a lot to program for.
You did a one-liner earlier, and it was like, wow, this is the best holistic way of really getting us to one-liner what Grow really is focusing on. Highlighted again, so the hard skills that you'll be getting from this is seed germination,
collection and propagation, and then fire break maintenance. Yeah, so that's basically just bush cutting a certain amount of land so that when a fire does end up within the watershed, it doesn't affect our current trees or surrounding grasslands.
And then to piggyback off of what you said earlier, if you can try and take a stab at it, you shared that the Grow really does take place in Ugum, and you shared earlier that the importance of why Grow is happening in Ugum. What was it again? You were talking about the watershed management in the south.
Yeah. So we need to maintain our water quality down south because our Ugum watershed is right near the Ugum water treatment plant, and this treatment plant provides the drinking water for our southern residents. Even during typhoons and any heavy rain events, the water treatment plant has to be shut off. Our main goal is that hopefully one day with all the trees that we're planting with this watershed, that our water continues to be as clear and inviting as possible. We don't continue to see the brown erosion that continues to happen within the base. So
That's amazing.
step-by-step process.
We have a couple of minutes right before we close out. Just, at least for me, right, as a community member, when I listen and I hear, you know, the types of things you're going to be working on, they're fairly concrete. They're a little bit intimidating personally for me. But walk me through maybe what it is that you're looking for a talent, right? Because this is really open to, I don't want to say just anybody, but your words, not mine. Feel free to walk us through that. Like, what type of talent are you looking for? The background?
Yeah, so there's a lot of folks that anyone can apply for this. You know, like it's basically anyone that's over 18. We have a small list of requirements basically for this program. They just need to be able to work with us for 5 months. It is a full-time work commitment. You're a citizen, national, or legal resident. They have reliable transportation to the University of Guam campus since we'll be departing as a team to the Urban watershed. Able to lift 50 pounds or more unassisted. Most of the time it won't be 50 pounds what they're lifting, but you know, we just want to make sure that if there's any big trees that we have to outplant out there, like they're ready to handle it individually. So basically good physical condition, able to hike and do laborious tasks within adverse weather conditions. So basically anyone, you know, even someone who's willing to make a career shift, they don't need to have experience in the green economy yet. You know, this is their way to enter. You know, indeed. So this is a workforce development program. Not only are we going to train them on skills that some of us may already know within the forested environment, but also the technical skills that we're talking about, GIS and whatnot. But I also want folks that are willing to work as a team and work independently on their own. So have that good mix of folks within that program. And we just want to make sure that we have those kinds of folks because it is an outdoor environment. It's not comfortable. There's no concrete restroom there, so we try to advise our members as well. Use the restroom before you leave, otherwise we'll have to take a break to go to the landfill and use their resources as well. Or you can even fertilize the soil on your own. But other than that, we just need team players, you know, because as you mentioned, G3 is already consisting of over 100 different public-private partnerships. So it is through all these different agencies that are within the G3 initiative, we want to make sure that we maintain that good branding. So that's what I look for within the next G3 Grow Corps.
Thank you so much, Moss, for walking us through this. I'm excited for this new corps. I'm excited for the talent that we hope to acquire. It's been getting a little bit more competitive in the applicants that we're seeing. And when I say competitive, I mean the community is pretty talented these days. You're seeing applications and resumes come in that are robust, they're full, and people are wanting to make either a career pivot or even people graduating from high school that have had exposure to different types of work environments already and come with a pretty experienced palette of work and exposure to even conservation. So whoever might be listening over the next week or so, we will be putting out the applications. I would say follow us on Guam Green Growth Instagram, where you'll really get the highlight on where to drop your resume and apply. From there, hopefully by the first week of September, as Mr. Tomas has shared, we would hope to be onboarding a few members of our team. I think we're looking at about
another 6 for this year. And you know, hopefully the competition is still there. This is a $16.14 hourly compensation for a full-time commitment. So that's rounding about $1,300 a pay period. Pretty good, man. And for the type of work we're doing, you know, it's pretty competitive for the work environment. So, you know, looking forward.
In addition to the financial compensation, thank you so much to our Guam Green Growth partner, Todu Guam, who will also be doing preventative care maintenance for the 6 individuals as a benefit of being a core member for the 5-month season. So in addition to the compensation, you'll also be having access and benefits with the Todu Guam Foundation. Additional conditions may apply, so feel free to just kind of apply. Let us know if you're interested by following us on Guam Green Growth. Again, I'm here with Tomas Beneventi, who is the project coordinator lead for the Corps, who again has exposure as an alumni of the Guam Green Growth Conservation Corps, a former lead of the first Guam Green Growth Youth Ambassador Program, and then also the continuing project lead for the Grow Corps, which will be starting this September. My name is Garrett Castro with the University of Guam Center for Island Sustainability and Sea Grant. And for those of you who may have missed it, register for fall this August with our main campus, University of Guam. Guam at a Gang Shopping Center August 15th from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. Bring a valid photo ID for support needed to register for fall. Advising, registration, financial aid advisement, brochure, and more. Walk in, get help, and get registered. This is open to all students. Thank you so much for joining us today on Sustainability Ways, and we'll see you again next week.